But isn't it like this in all social media platforms in some way? I mean, when I think back about Facebook, when I start a Facebook fan page, I also just have like two possibilities to build up my fan base. Either way, I pay Facebook and they will give me some of their members, or the other way around, I have existing assets in some other networks. Or
no, my paradigm is closer to watching a live television event versus watching Netflix. That's my paradigm.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what do you think?
So our empirical data back in 1996 when we started was that there was a 9-to-1 ratio from live to recorded.
Okay. So you think live streaming is, I'm coming from a different point of view. I think that live streaming, I see more like the bigger picture of communication behind it. So what I think is we actually are used to communicate live. I mean, this glitch with Facebook and Twitter and actually also TV and all the things came up in the last, 100 years. That's be a little vague about it. But before that, we were all communicating live to each other, thousands of years since the beginning. And Periscope and all the other mobile live streaming services bring that back in some reason. And someone said like live streaming brought back the social and social media.
So Homo sapiens, as far as we know, are about 170,000 years old. And I totally agree with you. Conversation, communications between humanoids is absolutely a killer application. However, there's this affinity for people to communicate media on demand when they are willing to communicate media over live communications. However, there's certain applications that live that work, especially gaming. So Twitch is a good example of that. Adult streaming obviously is a winner in that regard as well. However, we're trying to figure out how a platform like Blab or like YouNow or all the other platforms, the other 20 other that are out there today will sustain.
They won't. In my eyes, I mean, just my opinion, they won't. There will be one of them or two of them who will sustain, and the other ones will have a problem in some way. Maybe they find their niche and it will work out. But the difference between, in my eyes, online and offline is offline that there can be more than once. Because it's not the perfect market. You don't know how big something is, and it's not that easy to change to another system, and the network effects totally appear in a different way. But if you think about it, in the online world, there's in almost any field there's just one who's really accelerating. It can be Facebook, it can be Airbnb, it can be Alibaba. It's in any field there's just one.
Right. So that's exactly right. We're thinking in the same direction. So we don't believe that we've found the Uber application for a live platform like this yet.
True. I believe so too. That's why I always say, like, don't get dependent on one platform. That's why
Totally agree. Yeah. Well, if we thought that, we would have been on Justin TV, then Stickam, and the 20 others that have been out here for the last 15 years, right?
Google Plus Hangouts. There's been a ton of them.
Yeah, that's good.
In terms of the number of those platforms, it's still getting wider. There's still more of them coming. And then there will come that point in time when they'll start whittling down, or people will start leaving one and favoring another. But at the moment, there's still more of them coming. But it has to get to that point again. And that's what Birch is relying on, because he did exactly the same with Bebo. He got to the point, he managed to get through that to the point where he's one of the few left, and it had to be bought.
True, he was number 3, right?
Right, it had to be bought.
Yeah,
and he's doing the same again. He needs to survive the funnel of it going out. He needs to survive the funnel of it coming in, and then he'll sell.
That's a great point. So, Alex, how are you going to sustain your audience? Are you driving people to your own site and doing lead capture?
Yeah, I mean, I have my blog, and I'm gathering emails there. So I believe when someone would ask me like, what would be my, if I had to choose, between all those social media platforms, what would be my number one platform? I probably say like would be emails.
Right. Yes, I agree. Totally agree.
Wow.
That's the one thing I'm pretty sure it will sustain.
I agree. Totally agree.
Maybe one with YouTube, but we all will use an email. Facebook tried to replace emails with their own email and their logins, but we still use email.
Right. Yeah. Remember
Will has a different opinion on that one.
Remember Tia Tequila on MySpace?
No.
Guys?
Yeah. She got tons of friends. And
Tia Tequila was one of the top 10 properties on MySpace with, I don't know, 2 to 4 million friends on MySpace, and it just died overnight. And she went to being a superstar to nothing overnight because she did not have access to her client list.
Yeah, so that's a big problem. So basically, what I'm trying to do, see like how it works. Now I started a Facebook group and drive people from Periscope to Facebook in the group, and they have that email list. And I'm trying to play around with YouTube Live and with Meerkat and see how it works. I mean, don't be dependent on one platform. Just
exactly
see how it works and how you can cross promote yourself, or even cross promote others. I mean, some other people, I'm looking into it, cross promotion with big players on YouTube, on Instagram, and I shout them out on Periscope, and they shout me out on their platform, so that you grow on all platforms.
You're very smart, my friend. Hey, by the way, we got the kid his MacBook Pro. Remember the Blabathon that we did?
Yeah, that's awesome.
We raised the money and got the kid his computer. He's using it now.
Nice.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm referring to this story in almost all my talks when I give like things, because it's so inspiring. People, when I talk to companies, especially in Germany, because I'm German, so I'm talking basically to German companies. So the question which always pops up is like, when is the right moment? When is the right moment to start? Because live streaming is so small still.
Right.
And my response on it is basically, the right moment is now. I mean, Twitter invested in Periscope 100 million or 80 million 7 months ago. So who are you to ask like when is the right moment to invest some of your resources or something like that? I don't know. Maybe you're more clever than Twitter. Could be. But it's up for you to decide, right?
It's funny.
But what I believe is, what is the right question? What can I contribute to my community? Because we are all into community building. So what are my assets and what can I contribute? And that's one great example when people gather together to contribute. And I didn't ask like, when is the right moment to donate for Jamie? I mean, we instantly know that's right now, the moment is now. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
That's actually a good question you should ask yourself. And when you know what you can contribute, what's the best channel for placing your message or your service or your product or whatever you want to do?
Okay, so prior to you coming on, we had a 19-year employee of ESPN, and my experience in live streaming with brands, major brands, was they're afraid because the amount of variables to do live broadcast. In other words, there's many pain points and failure for live streaming. And so the probability of failure or somebody coming into the live chat room and giving negative feedback outweighed the fact of any sort of positive exposure. And that's the challenge with the brands today.
That's true.
I disagree.
I mean, but I see it from another point. I always see like the upside of a new technology is bigger than the downside. So maybe you waste some time. Okay, it can be. But at least you made your experience and see how it works, But it's that life circle. I mean, all of us in here are probably early adopters. So we love to check out new technology and see how it works. And then there comes after us, there comes the early majority, which is most of the people, and they just pop in when they are sure it's working and they know like what it is and how you can do something with it. It's just a different mindset in some way, you know?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if I'm, first of all, here's a perfect example. Did Furkan take off? He came in and popped out. If I'm going to do a live Blab for Pepsi Cola, for example, or Coca-Cola, the way that Blab reduces the logos when you're on their front page and it collapses down to 4, it truncates the logo. And if Pepsi or Coca-Cola or Marlboro or anybody saw that their logo was cut in half, they would kill me.
So what about if you just replace one of those 4 screens with their logo?
No, absolutely. But what I'm saying is there's so many pain points like that in a live experience that they don't have, where they have the ability to highly produce a video and post on YouTube. So there's so many extraneous variables that they can't control in a live medium that they can in recorded media.
Yeah. True. That will be a major issue. And I also talk to brands. That's their major concern, that it's live.
Correct.
That's a problem. That it's really live. You know, they can't control it. They cannot say and confirm it and say, like, okay, that was good. We take this take, and not take it 5 times more, and then we take the best take.
Exactly right. And troll. How do they handle trolls? If they got somebody that's trolling in the side when they're trying to pitch whatever they're pitching, how do they handle that live?
True.
Yeah, that chat bar has to go. There has to be the ability to open a room with a different format of screens and get rid of the chat bar.
True. I mean, that's gonna be
either that or it's moderated. Will moderated.
Yeah, it's a kind of trade-off. I mean, that's why they're not starting with it. They're slowly thinking about what it is and what it can do for them. But the trade-off is in another way. I mean, I think even if something goes wrong, it's anyway better for this brand, although it could something wrong, because it's authentic, and that's what people like, you know. It's so strong, and in the end, everything is, in my eyes, about KLT. The people need to know you, the people need to like you, and the people need to trust you.
Yeah, so Mitch is saying the same kind of thing. That's interesting. I don't think I understand what you guys are saying. When I talk to the brands, it's hard for me to provide value proposition in that regard, because they have old paradigms that are hard to break.
Live is not part of a brand's assets, though. You know, the logos, the videos, the lifestyle, the whole allure of the brand. Each of them, as soon as you put somebody live on camera, that becomes an asset of the brand. And it doesn't continue to portray the image of the brand that all the other assets do. It's the ugly duckling of the asset.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we're not seeing it yet. I mean, we're seeing it slowly, but I've been here for 20 years. I mean, Coca-Cola was a client of mine, Ad Council, BMW, the Marine Corps. I did live events for all of these brands. And they're slow to move. It's just amazing how long it's taken to get where we're at right now. And it's still not happening. And I'm a huge proponent. I want it to happen, and I'm all for it moving forward. So I don't know the answer. There seems to be this glass ceiling that I haven't seen anybody break through. Right. You know, the biggest room we've seen here on Blab was 600-700. 600-700 divided by, say, I don't know what the denominator is. Is it 50,000? Is it 100,000? Somebody,
user base, about 55,000 people subscribe.
You tell me that ratio on Periscope. Like Alex said, it's say it's 10,000 simultaneously. Divide that by that denominator. We're talking small numbers.
Okay, so try and imagine, you know, if Coca-Cola was to do this, what would the talking head of Coca-Cola look like?
Right.
You know, would she be dressed in red? Would she be stunningly beautiful? Would there be an amazing backdrop? What would she say? How would she sound? What accent would she have? You know, those are the kind of questions these brands are going to start having to ask themselves if they're going to take on live streaming, which is what is your talking head going to look like? What are they going to say? What are they going to be for and against? What are their views and opinions going to look like?
So you're saying how many people are going to see your, like, because there's only a certain percentage that actually see my tweet. There's only a certain percentage of people that actually see my Facebook post, and I have 1,000 friends. So you divide that, and you're saying 10%. It seems that's the game that's always being played, especially on these social platforms.
I'm reading Zane's post here. That's the longest post that she's ever made since I've seen her on Blab. And she's got some important stuff to say. There's Furkan. Furkan's back in now. Furkan, we're just talking about, I propose there's a glass ceiling to live events. Blab cleverly says view live conversations. They don't use the word. Alex, I'm one of the fathers of the streaming media business. I think streaming media is redundant at the very least. I think it's non-apropos anymore. You don't say when you Skype somebody, you say I'm not live streaming Skyping somebody. When you call somebody on a VoIP line, you don't say I'm live streaming VoIPing somebody. So the platforms are becoming the verbs, right? So Skype's a verb. Blab, I think, should be a verb. The word live streaming should die because it's fully redundant. It's like walking into a store and saying, where is the ATM machine? Where is the automated teller machine? The word live streaming is redundant. 90% of traffic on the internet streams using TCP/IP protocol. So watch live conversations, I think, is a very clever and apropos term for what we do here. This is using WebRTC, which is different than streaming protocols that we developed 20 years ago. So it's a nomenclature argument. However, in my experience, seems to be this ceiling that the audience attracts less than people think that it's going to attract. In the biggest, somebody do a Google on the live stream. The largest live streams of all time has to be the World Cup, which was just a few years ago, and then Victoria's Secrets. But those are still minuscule compared to TV. So the audience is very small, and the attractions for getting an audience to a live stream is much less than people think it's going to be.
To a single stream, you're right. The way Furkan's answered the question is, how many people are in the world we all want to interact. So in terms of the number of people on the platform, I think the opportunity is massive, but the number of people watching a single channel or stream within the platform is still going to remain relatively low. We're going to see thousands and thousands of channels with very few people watching each channel.
Mitch, so I totally against that argument of somebody needs to build that business, please build that business model. So across my 100 properties that I manage on the web, any of the TV properties, Apple TV, Chromecast, and Roku are less than 1% of the traffic on my sites. And Periscope, Meerkat, Blab are all not lean back activity, which is a TV model. So I think pushing a interactive model on top of a TV is total failure. It's totally minuscule in a quantitative analysis of streaming and an interactive model online.
I'm going to give up my seat for somebody more interesting. There must be somebody more interesting in the room right now. Maybe Zane or Furkan can come on.
Yeah.
I think there is a difference between live streaming or live conversations. I actually like the word live conversations. It's a good explanation of what we do, basically. But for sure, the numbers are pretty small. It's pretty new. I mean, live streaming or live conversation is not new, but it's mobile live conversations is the new hot topic. And I believe, I could explain it from many different sides. One side is probably that I believe that companies like Facebook, Google, Twitter, and so on, they don't do decisions based on their gut feeling or because they talk to a couple of people. Their decisions are based on billions of data points, which they see all over the world. And all three of them decided to invest in live streaming, in mobile live streaming, all of them in the same year, at the same point in some way. So there is something. And of course, the argument is valid that Periscope or all those live conversations or live streaming services are absolutely small compared to TV. But the thing is that this new technology is rising and TV is slowing down. And next to it, what happens when you do advertisement on TV? Basically, every younger generation, when the commercial is starting, what do? They take out their phones and they don't watch your commercial anymore. So you need to come up with a new technology to actually get the word out. I mean, smartphones were pretty small too, no one was using smartphones a couple of years ago, and now it's more than the desktop traffic on any website.
2007, the iPhone came out, but the Trio was out in 2002, I believe. Remember?
There you go. And I think it just takes some time, and it's much more engaging. If I think about not any field, but most of the fields which are going in documentary or education or some parts of entertaining too, it's much more engaging in my eyes when I take a look at someone is explaining it to me and really talks to me, and I can be a part in it. I think this is a very strong argument for live streaming, that I can be a part in it. Even if my chance is 1 to 1 million, and we know for everyone who's playing in the lottery or playing in raffles and so on, we believe that we can be that one person who wins that $1 million thing. We just not good in chances, in getting our chances right. So if I have the chance to be 1 out of 1 million who Will Smith or that next big sports person or Justin Bieber, I don't know, will talk to myself because I ask him a question, I stick with it because I think I can be that person, So I think that's very attractive in terms of live streaming, that I can be a part in it and I can change the outcome. And even if it's a slightly change versus on TV, I know nothing will happen. No matter what I will do here, it won't change anything.
Yeah. No, you and I believe in the same. I've been and I wish I should push my video of my company. So we were Wall Street financed live streaming company in 1996. So we built one of these called Hello World in 1996, and we rose the internet wave up and then back down when the internet, the irrational exuberance period died in 2001. Otherwise, I wouldn't been here right now. I would have been on a beach with Michael Birch somewhere. I would have made hundreds of millions of dollars. We developed our own proprietary streaming algorithm, and we did all of this, 20 years ago. So I'm as frustrated as the next guy why it's taking this so long, and engaged with dozens and dozens of brands only to see them frustrated that we couldn't attract more people at a live event. And so they would spend tons of money and promoting live events and weddings and everything people talk about today. We did births, we did weddings, we did funerals, we did, Marine Corps events. And there seems to be this glass ceiling to the live. That was my only premise. I'm a huge proponent of live streaming. I use it every day. Huge proponent of Blab, Periscope, Meerkat, all of them. So just frustration. All I'm doing is articulating my frustration on why there seems to be this glass ceiling on live, and the brand's approach to live, of why they're scared to utilize the platform or platforms therein. So that's all this Blab turned out to be. And I'm so glad that you came in to share your opinion as well.
Well, I think we both know why live is so difficult for them, because it's live,
Right.
We talked about it. So, but I believe from another point of view, truth be told, the big companies, they missed internet itself. They thought it's a bubble. They needed a lot of time till they jumped on the wagon, and it cost them a shitload of money to cope up with it.
Yeah, a lot of them did, but not. There was some that made a lot of money. Dell was a good example when they went e-commerce. They were doing $1 million a day of e-commerce.
I mean, the old fashioned businesses, they really missed it most.
Sure.
Then next to it, they missed social media. They missed Facebook and all those social media channels, and they had to pay money again to cope up with it. Then they missed mobile in a big way.
Right.
So they are missing all those technologies. It's nothing new, you know. It takes them just so long to understand it. And now they will miss live streaming. I mean, it's just what they do. And then they will pay and jump on it because they see some examples of people who really can do it and they really be successful on it. It's just how it is. I don't think like it's something which is of course it's worrisome, and I would love it as I'm live. Not.
Hey, Mitch, I invite you to jump on, my friend. He's always got some very important things to say.
Yeah, definitely, Mitch.
Love to have him on the conversation.
Jumped out when I jumped in, so.
Yeah, no, Mitch is a great guy. I follow him, and he's always got something very clever to say, and he's had some good comments here on the sideline. And I'm just delighted that Alex jumped in, and he donated to Jamie's cause. We got Jamie's computer out there, and I've never seen Alex's hair messed up ever in my lifetime.
Yeah, that happens when you fly back from China.
Yeah. And Will lives in China. He's a Brit that lives in China. He's, I befriended him here on the platform, and he's a great guy and and he builds products. You know, all those products that are in the Pacific Ocean and all that waste that you see, that's because of Will in China. Cool. Did he? He get mad at me when I say that. He'll watch him flame me in the text chat room now. Mitch says, "You don't want to." Oh, he wants to come in a few. That's great. So my frustration. Alex, was just that there's this hidden ceiling I've seen as far as audience participation in live streams, and that was my original premise, number one. Number two, I'm a proponent of eliminating the word live streaming from the vernacular because it's redundant. It's like saying ATM machine.
Good to know, because I sometimes say ATM machine. Learn something new. That's good.
It's so much fun to listen to you guys talk about the pros and cons and things that a lot of us think inside our heads and we really don't talk to other people about, right? And listen to the conversation go back and forth, and you've got old school points of view based upon 20 years of experience. You've got a younger point of view, people that really have always dealt with live streaming using mobile devices, right? Because I think that is kind of the new play. That what a lot of people.
Mitch is calling me old, everybody. Mitch is calling me old.
No, I'm not. Look at me. But
hey, Mitch, we were the first ones to do live streaming from phones back in 1999 with Sun Microsystems and Bloomberg.
Yeah, I know. But like the quote I showed you earlier, at one time, there was only room for 5 computers in the whole world.
Oh, I know. That's an old school quote from Thomas Watson.
So, but the point being is computers were around back then too, but, so much has changed. And I think for me, when I see people that know much more about this industry than I ever will, I'm more of a businessman than a tech guy. But for me, just the fact that we're holding these devices in our hands, and the fact that we're mobile, I see it as a complete game changer. I don't see it as being anything that we've ever had before. And, it's not that the technology is different. It's just smaller, it's more compact, and everybody in the world has access to it. That's the difference.
Yeah, so I've talked about this before. So we were frustrated in the early days of the live streaming business. So my father is a radiologist here in Las Vegas. And he got a grant from the state of Nevada in 1988 to do a teleradiology system, which we put old IBM AT computers with a $4,000 capture machine in those with a camera, and we scanned in the X-ray. We compressed it. We sent it across a modem. At that time, it was a 28.8 modem, and sent it back to my father's house, that he could interpret those X-rays and read those all of rural Nevada. And then we developed that same technology, which was data acquisition, compression, data transmission, uncompression in the early 90s. When we saw TCP/IP start to take off, we rewrote the protocols to work over the internet in the early 90s, which turned into the word streaming media in the early 90s and had some of the very early streaming media technology, and then became Wall Street financed. And so I'm a historian of this age of streaming media, and then become frustrated after working with tons and tons of company and fighting Mark Cuban. I can't tell you, at least 6 times around the world, traveling around the country, trying to show companies our streaming technology back in the day. And at least 3 times people saying, oh yeah, this is great, the streaming media stuff. We just signed a contract with Mark Cuban last week. So that was one of our funny history points of our company called Hello Network, which you can Google and find. And have identified this glass ceiling. You know, we had Kelsey Grammer on the Tonight Show say, log into my live stream tomorrow, and only have 150 people log into that stream. And Joe Walsh and the Marine Corps and Pepsi-Cola and even on Blab and even on Periscope today, take the numerator of the, is Furkan still here? 600 over the users. Furkan just logged in. So take the numerator of what we think, which Furkan is 600, we think is the top, divided by the denominator, and do the same thing on Periscope. There's some sort of glass ceiling for people attending a live event. And I'm a huge, huge proponent of Blab and live streaming.
As we can tell. Hi, Mitch. Hi, Alex. Hi, John. Thanks for letting me in. Mitch, hey, we haven't spoken before. I've seen you on a lot of stuff kicking around and on a couple of Periscopes here and there. Alex, we have not met either. And your hair is a mess. I've never seen you look so disheveled. But you get off because you flew back from China, right? Yeah. But, now I'm out here in Boston and I'm about to wrap it up. We were just doing some, we're developing, in fact, John, you were in the room, we just wrapped up. We're doing a blabulary. We're developing a vocabulary.
Well, Joel Kahn did that 3 months ago.
Where is it? Is it up live somewhere?
I think he has it. Somebody share.
Yeah,
so the last point.
Yeah, we're checking out. So
the last point I wanted to make, and then I'm going to shut up, is like Alex said, and I think Mitch touched on this prior. If you track the variables of Moore's law of CPU power, because if you hold your phone up or plug it into Blab or Meerkat or Periscope and let it run and feel how hot it gets, I think that Furkan and I can tell you the amount of math that's going on simultaneously in those H.264 chips in your phone heat up your phone like crazy. So track the Moore's law of CPU performance, bandwidth, increasing, and the ability to integrate mobile and social has finally crossed the chasm so that these applications come to fruition. Huge lover and proponent of moving forward and making stuff happen.
Yeah, and this is the place that is breaking through because you've got the video, you've got the audio all tied together. As Mitch said, on the mobile, it's kicking ass. And I think we're going to see the art of communication and connection really come full circle. And I'm super pumped about it with you. You know, John, you and I spent some time here together. But I'm a technology guy, but I've always been about the people side of it and helping people out through technology and around it, keeping them safe with it. And this is an area where it's, I see Mitch and I know he's an authentic guy and he's a lawyer. I never thought I would say that. No offense, Mitch. I know a lot of lawyers, they seem authentic, but it's clear to me because I did a lot of recruiting for 15 years. I had to listen. We didn't have the video. It was all through the phone. So I had to become a really good listener and hear people breathing. This is great. Now this is super way for people to make connections you could never make before. I talked to a guy on the Isle of Man yesterday, just bumped into him. He's doing great things. And I actually did I said, stop talking. We went on the record. I introduced him. Tell us about the Isle of Man. And I mean, most people in the world don't know about it. They may have heard about it, but it's got amazing history and banking and other things going. It's got its own language, it's its own country. So it's just cool stuff like that. You would never, ever bump into people. I would never meet Mitch otherwise, and John. And we all know that. Those things are obvious.
I mean, that applies to all of us. I mean, that's just it. Is I think when I listen to John explain his history and his experience in this industry, honestly, John, every third or fourth word that you mentioned was way above my pay grade. I mean, I've heard some of these terms mentioned. I don't know what they do. I don't know what it all means. And I think what's interesting today is anybody can go down to Verizon and pick up a smartphone and press a button and use these platforms now, because everything has gotten to the point where this stuff works. And I think when you look at major brands using these, how is it scalable? I think what's important is that it's not the width, it's not the number of people in here, it's the depth. Because I can tell you just today, I've engaged with 3 people, 3 professionals, 2 in the United States, 1 in the UK, where it all started with a Periscope this morning. And, maybe there was 40 or 50 people on my Periscope, unlike Alex, who has hundreds, thousands. Out of that 40 or 50 people that engaged, and maybe 120 or 150 to the whole scope, there were 3 quality connections that resulted in, me being able to help 2 people get something resolved just with a phone call. And another one may turn into a joint litigation matter that I can help somebody with.
Right.
Sure.
Interesting dynamics. And I agree with what you said, because, I met Alex briefly in New York, and we've since communicated on Twitter and Blab. He's been on a show with some police officers in Los Angeles. They're big fans of yours, by the way, Alex, just so you know. They want to have you back on the show.
Everybody's a big fan of Alex.
Yeah, look at he's kicking ass down at the props.
I know.
The funny thing is, and I let Mitch finish, but I tell you something about that whole props.
Well, I was going to say, if I could look that good after flying for 22 hours. Last time I was in Hong Kong, but when I got off the plane, I literally crawled across the asphalt into LAX and kissed the ground. It was such a long flight. So you're hanging in there very well, my friend.
Yeah, Alex. We all want to be like Alex when we grow up.
that thing. It's about community building. I'm right now thinking about what should be like my talk on the next Periscope Summit, because Ryan Abel, the CEO of the Periscope, he asked me today, like, what should be the topic, and it will be something about community building for sure. And my experience basically has nothing to do with live streaming. Also, social media a couple of years, but what I do more than 10 years and where my expertise actually is coming from is community building. I founded 3 different social networks in Germany and built them up. And what I experienced is this rule in life in almost every field. It's like this 90 versus 10 rule. 10% of your community is making 90% of your traffic, and holds that whole thing together. And when I take a look at their props, it's not that the 31 people right now giving me those props. Here's probably there are 3 people who gave like 15,000 props.
We know.
Right.
It's like that. It's not the 138 who watched it.
Is that the modified Pretto principle?
Yeah, kind of. It is.
I think it's a prop.
Unlike my name, which is Pretto, it's a cousin of mine.
It's a Pretto principle.
So they keep you on top. It was with Periscope on the most loved list. There are a couple of people who help you being there, and it's that thing. And that's why I'm a big fan of analytics, and hope that full scope and the other form, what the other guy brought up, and maybe Periscope itself would bring it up. Because
did you come out with the analytics program? Somebody told me something about your analytics program.
No, I didn't. I was just promoting it in one of my scopes.
Oh, okay. Somebody said that you launched an analytics program. I was quite interested.
Actually, I'm in talks with the guy who invented it, Casey, and I help him a little bit out with my thoughts about what should be the next step for them.
Sure.
I really like it because it helps you identifying those 10% of the people.
Sure.
Drive conversations with them And that's all you need, and that's the same thing the big brands need to understand. It's not about masses all the time. If you identify the right people who are really multiplicators, who can really drive the traffic to your site or service or product, that's what you need, because it's totally changing. And I think some brands just don't understand it, that all of us are influencers. Not only the ones who have like 200,000 or millions of followers, every one of us is an influencer, because if one of us has a friend who has 2 million and he's influencing that guy, it's the same thing in some way. So we need to understand that every one of us, first of all, is a brand. That's what I like to say. We all should think. I mean, Brian Fansom, I'm a big fan, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He came up with that "think like a fan" sentence, right? So it's true, we all are brands in some way, and we all are influencers. And
sure,
we shouldn't make ourselves small and say that we can't change something. And one thing I really like about social media is that if you compare all those hotlines, all those contact sheets you had like 10 years ago, in any big company, you probably waited like for half an hour or an hour in a waiting line just to leave a message and get nothing back. Right now, it changed so much that there are companies, it takes 10 minutes, you can tweet them, you can write them an email, you have hundreds of ways, and they respond on anything,
Sure.
Because they're so afraid that they miss out. Some influencers really get pissed, and that's something good. That's something.
Hey, guys.
Well, Radiant 6, that's why Salesforce paid so much for Radiant 6 in the early days, right, of the listening platform, and then they've taken that and amplified that. That's a great, great story of the power of social media and listening to the graph.
Yeah, Mitch, did you have to jump or what?
It's a school night and I can't keep my son up. But I was just going to say, we were talking about. Let me just share a thought with you, and I want to play off something that Alex said and John, something you said earlier. How many influencers are there out there who are sitting home watching traditional flat screen TVs or traditional TVs, who aren't on a computer, who aren't on a desktop, who aren't on a laptop, they're not on a tablet, they're not even on a mobile device, they're watching their TV at home. Just because they're not part of this little community doesn't mean they're not influencers and they're not making change. With these platforms, John, even though Periscope's been out, 10 months, 8 or 10 months, whatever it's been, Meerkat 2, I did pick up the Apple TV upgrade yesterday after watching Periscope Brian's show and wanting to give it a try, and there's a long ways to go. But imagine these shows right now being pushed to the other 99.99% of America who have never even heard of Periscope or Blab, but they know what a television is. And they're able to watch these shows that are produced in a certain way where there are no commercials, where there is no interruption, where they can pick and choose what they want to watch while they're sitting on their couch without having to know how to use a computer. I see this as being a huge game changer for those reasons alone. It hasn't happened yet, but we haven't had this technology yet. And I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I honestly think that there are, like I said, 99.99% of the people in this world have never heard of Periscope. They've never heard of Blab, but they know what a TV is.
Yeah.
Right, but I disagree with the way you articulated that, Mitch. We'll have another conversation that day.
That's a great conversation. John, I think you're over driving your microphone tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it just sounds a little bit high.
Okay,
Mitch,
guys,
appreciate meeting you, Mitch, and have a good night.
Yeah, guys, you got great conversation. Thanks for including me. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you, Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.
All right.
So I got a quick story about the power of social media, and I'm not a social media guru. I'm just getting my feet in the pool right now, and I jumped right over everything into Blab because this is my platform. This is where I feel comfortable, and this is it's amazing. So I get on with Roberto Blake and Amy Schmidt-Tower and an after Blab, and within 10 minutes after that, I was in front of 60,000 people with a little GIF of me going like this with my hands. Now, 50,000 people saw me for the first time in their lives.
Where?
On Twitter.
On
because
Twitter,
they just tweeted out, he happened to catch, he liked what I was saying, and he actually didn't put up the label of the blab. He actually changed the label to I believe it was awareness creates confidence and clarity. And that was my talk for about a minute with them. And he just caught that piece where I was doing this. And it was really great because they were really paying attention, and they actually tweeted to me directly afterwards. It was great. But there I am, 50,000, 60,000 people within about a half an hour now saw me. So I was like, it blows my mind to think about that.
Well, Alex does that every day, right, Alex?
Look at him. He's 18,000 props from 3 people.
Yeah, funny, right? Yeah, I mean, it's weird. To be honest, it's kind of weird for me. Sometimes if I take a look at it, because you don't really understand if it's like 200 people watching you or is it like 5,000 people watching you. It's like the same thing. It's just a different number, you know. You don't feel it. It's a different thing if you speak in front of 200 people or 5,000, you really feel the difference. You know?
Sure, yeah.
It's a difference, but in some way it's similar because the effects afterwards are totally different. You get tons of emails if you say something. You get tons of tweets if you say something, versus in a smaller number. So you really, I mean, as I said, I have a huge expertise in community building, and I build up communities. But what I do with Periscope right now, and I was always the center of community, so I'm used to talk to a lot of people in offline and online. But Periscope is really changing that whole game in a way I've never experienced before. The people are really trusting you, and good that you get in Joe, because he's one of those 3 who at least he's responsible for at least I get 8 or 9,000.
Hey,
9,000.
You deserve all those props, man.
The mouse recorder, or how he's basically doing that kind of thing. But it's amazing when you approach people in an authentic and honest way, how much trust you gain in return, and how this is changing. They really follow you everywhere. They really, if you ask them to do something, they do it, although they don't know you. And it's so interesting, when I was at the first Periscope Summit, that people came to me. I mean, my big aha moment about Periscope was really the first Periscope Summit in New York, because people approached me and said, man, it feels like I know you.
Right.
Sure.
By watching you on that screen. And it's different when I see someone on TV, because we really engage in, we're driving conversation and on Facebook and so on.
Right.
And that must be a game changer. From that point of view, I think that's going to be really big, because
and Blab takes it to a whole new level. Not only is it you and people in the hearts and love and all that stuff coming to you, and they feel you, now they're actually engaging with you at a whole new level. They're looking you in the eye. They're feeling they're in the room. And community is everything to you and to me. And I've always been that natural person to pull people together and lift them up. And that's what I'm moving toward that now, to shift my career out of saving people. Look, there I go again. Thanks, Zane. I appreciate that.
Funny. Zane loves you, Cliff.
There goes the hands.
I like it.
Where's Alex, Zane? Do Alex now.
Alex.
So I'll still be a clip of like him sitting there, and they'll just be
you're in the headlights. But it goes beyond community to true connectivity, right? And that's what has been lost over the years. And I say this on most blabs that people get to hear me talking a little bit about this. Can you hear me okay? I'm so excited about being here in this moment, watching Blab kind of go through its first couple of phases here of people showing up and disappearing. And some of them will be back, some of them won't. And I think it's a great auto flush system here that, what are you doing over there? Canadian, hey?
Canadians, man.
Is that the Jolly Green Giant outfit,
I don't know.
Joe?
But for me, it's not about business. It's about people, and it's about making those.
Cannot unsee that,
John.
Sorry,
you guys want your own room up there? I think we can arrange that.
No. I'm reading what Kelly said.
He got standing up, showing us his belt buckle.
Oh, it's an elf onesie.
Okay. Anyway, that's all. I love it. I love the platform. I love John Pretto, and if he stops talking over me, I love him even more. I'll throw you some props, John. But your mic sounds a little bit better. I think you cranked it down, right? Alex, awesome to meet you.
I did.
We will see each other again soon.
Sure.
Alex, a very important question. You ready?
I'm ready.
5 years from now, what live streaming platforms are left?
Well, I will be a billionaire if I would know those answers, but I will make a take. I will try it. I mean, right now they're only free. So
2000? No, there's more than three. 2000.
Right now they're only free. I'm really considering.
Oh, okay.
And those are Periscope, YouTube Live, just of the sake of being YouTube.
Yep.
Facebook Live. Those are the three I'm actually considering right now to think like which I should focus on more.
Gotcha. That's smart.
That's my take on it. So your question was how many?
No, who's left? It's 2020. Who's left?
Who's left? Well, I believe it totally depends on how they see it and how they do it. I would say Periscope, not because it's my biggest channel, but I believe that it's easier for a new medium to be known as one thing which I can really good. Like YouTube is really good in videos, watching videos, uploading videos, and that's what YouTube is doing. Facebook is very good in communication with my family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And Periscope is focusing just on live streaming. That's what they do. And that's what we know it can. So if they do it in a good way and they don't engage with Twitter too much and it's not getting a whole mess, because then Facebook will take over in some way. How Facebook is trying. I mean, Facebook is building their own news applications. It's called Alpha or something. I read about it, and they want to build an app. And now news stations can do breaking news on Facebook, so they're going in this Twitter direction. It's hard. I mean, it can also be Facebook, but I think from the mindset, it's Periscope. That's what would be my thing. What do you think?
So there's different modalities, right? So Periscope is a TV model, which is one to many, which favors the people that can hold an audience like you, but you're a 1%er. So, most of the people on Periscope can't hold an audience. And so Blab is a completely different animal. Facebook is the one to many model. They haven't announced any sort of conversational platform like this. So there's two modalities. There's the conversational platform, and then there's the broadcasting platform. So it's hard to say which one's going to win out. I think there's room for both models.
Sure.
I thought that if Periscope integrated the live streaming heavier into the Twitter model, it would made a lot more sense.
True. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that I say they shouldn't integrate it more. Absolutely, they should integrate it more, but they should stay in one way independent in what Periscope is. If it's the Twitter app and Periscope is not an own app anymore, and it will be a Twitter app, and I start Periscope from the Twitter app, I don't know if this will be the right way, because
oh, interesting. Okay,
that's what I mean.
Gotcha.
It shouldn't be like one thing.
Yeah,
like,
don't muck it up, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it.
But if they integrated, live streaming, the nice thing about, I tell people, I was one of the first 100,000 users on Twitter because I'm a techie guy, right? And so we were all techie guys and talking to each other about, what server, what version of Linux you're using. And then Gary Vaynerchuk came in early on. So then we had something other than technology to listen to. However, if you followed the top 100 people in whatever you're interested in your social graph, you find out information way before anywhere else.
Sure.
Right? Especially when there's an earthquake. If you ever want to know where earthquake's going on, you'll find it on Twitter way before anywhere else. And then along comes Periscope. Well, then I get live video feeds. So when the hotel caught on fire here in Las Vegas, the Cosmo Hotel, there was live Periscope feeds right from the fire. And so that's very, very powerful. So as a news source and integrating that into Twitter in a more integrated manner made a lot of sense to me.
Not true. I totally agree.
One more comment. I want to kick it over to Joe because he's been showing off his robe too long without saying anything. The next thing I'm thinking about beyond that is the power of the community here on a Blab or a Blab platform that we have not had to date. We've not been able to go outside except for telephone and our phones and now Periscope and now it's the many to many model that we have access to. We can actually make these connections at deeper levels, like you're talking about, Alex, and make a difference and actually continue the conversation. Have a weekly or whatever you want. You can start a Blab like that, or you can set it up and say, every week we're going to go back and grow a community around this subject of problem that we have as a community in the world, helping each other out. That's what I'm excited about, is that we can get together and make a huge difference by bypassing government, bypassing corporations, and bypassing the bank system. That's it. So that's the power is right here. It's in front of us.
Yeah, we've been saying that for years. I mean, when
technology's on our side, John, this is what I'm getting at. That I think the tipping point of the technology now has put us more than one person or a couple pop in and out with this or that. You now have a community building. You as they develop this platform, hopefully they will, so that we can do more of those things we've been talking about, not on this call.
Concur.
To have the continuation of the conversation, be able to immediately say, hey, I like that John guy. Let me make notes about John Pretto on this call on my side. So the next time I say, John, yeah, remember we had that conversation. I want this conversation, not this one, but all conversations to continue. And that's where technology can really help us, I think.
Can't argue. Won't argue. Alex, you have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I came up with that sentence a couple of months ago, why the next president of the United States can be a periscoper. You know, it actually deals with exactly what you said, that there are no barriers. We can directly talk to, if we scale it up, to millions of people someday, you know, and no one can control it because it's live. You know, that's the thing, what the brands have problems with it. So yeah, definitely it's going to be interesting how people are going to use it. We can use it for the better and for the worse, you know. It's on us.
So Mark Victor Hansen came to my office and I'm trying to remember what year. I can't remember. Somebody could Google and find out because there's a video out there on YouTube somewhere. But we showed him, you know, this. We had a 9-way version of this way back before 2000. And we had a 1-way streamer. We had a whole suite of products. We had many to many, we had one to many, we had one to many with co-host, we had one to many with pay-per-view, we had tipping, we had all of these features back in the old days. Mark Victor Hansen came to our office, and after he saw the technology, Cliff, he said, this will change the world. Once children from Iraq can talk to people in Iowa and see that we all care about the same things, our family, our dog, our next door neighbor, this will be a game changer. Once we as human beings understand that we all care about the same things, the world will change.
Well, it eliminates the fear-based dialogue that too many organizations like to keep us down with, right? So that's a whole other blab and a half.
Oh, no, it's called religion.
No, I don't want to get into that. I'm talking about religion. The powers that be, whatever those control factors are out there, whether it's your next door neighbor putting his fence up, whatever it is, or the government or whoever's out there telling you should be buying this stuff, you should be thinking this way, you should be spending your money over here, you should be doing this zero credit thing, go buy a new car, It's all bullshit. And it's
Cliff, you, Alex, Joe, I, Robert Stern, Brian Fanzo, all care about our families. We care about ourselves. We care about our soccer team that we follow. We all care about the same things.
Sure.
We'll all soon find out that we're all similar on this planet.
Right.
And then the world will change.
And the divide is coming. What I'm saying is this technology here will close the divide faster than anything we've got before, even faster than Periscope. Periscope's a great one-way tool. There's no question about that. But this is where people are actually getting together and meeting up and connecting at the heart level as well as the brain. And Joe, what do you got to say?
Well, I was going to say, what if I don't watch
Joe
soccer?
looks awesome.
I was going to say, what if I don't watch soccer? But no, I think this is awesome. I really love live streaming. I really love the fact with Blab that you get to have like multiple people in the chat. Like, I think that's phenomenal because you can actually have one-to-one, well, not one-to, but yeah, you can have face-to-face conversations with other people where you don't really have the opportunity to do that with Periscope, Meerkat.
Right.
I haven't checked out the like YouNow or basically YouTube Live. I'm not sure like the Facebook one either. I haven't checked that out, but yeah.
Sounds good. Hey guys, I gotta check out. I gotta run.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to sleep. Thank you, John, for.
Hey Alex, thanks for joining. I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
we got to start giving props.
Make a new record. So
all right,
I'll try to sleep again.
Alex, it was
see you guys.
to meet you. And Joe, good to see you again.
Thanks for the show.
So
and John,
sounds good. See you guys.